How bold will he go? We're about to find out. It is Eric Cross from the Toolshed. My boy Eric Cross. Very good flow today, too, by the way. If watching on YouTube on the clip, it's a very, very good hair day. I have a lot of respect for the high swoop. I get a lot of flack for it, but I'm a big high swoop guy. Eric Cross in the house. My boy, we're talking about a pitcher and a hitter. You can find him over on the Twitters at Eric Cross MILB. Cross, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not much, man. How you doing?
I'm in 97-degree weather, and you got snowed out yesterday. We were going to record yesterday, and there was a snowstorm that took you away. It is almost 100 degrees already in Arizona.
Yeah, we had what we like to call false spring up here, where like it's usually right around mid-March, where you're like, oh, it's getting warmer out. We're done with the snow, and Mother Nature's like, haha, joke's on you. Here's one last storm, and that was yesterday. So it wasn't like huge storm, but still just enough to be a pain in the butt and make things all slushy and nasty for a little bit.
Wouldn't it be called spring fall? Not fall spring, because it's spring, like fall in the spring.
Oh no, false. FALSE.
Oh, false. Oh, so, false spring.
Yeah,
okay.
You think spring's here and then winter's behind you, and then you get one last little hurrah with some snow.
That makes a lot more sense, my friend. All right, let's no more snow. Prospect time. Hitters and pitchers. Let's start with the hitter for you. I think we've done quite a few of the pitching at the end. I don't know. I feel like everybody gets more excited. I get more excited about the hitting, to be honest with you. I feel like more people get way more excited about the pitching side of these bold predictions, but we'll see how bold you are willing to go. We have gone from number one overall prospect to guys that are in, a lot of top 100s being inside the top 5 at their position. There's a lot of that fun stuff. So let's see. Eric Cross, your 2025 hitter bold prediction, the name, the reason why, and where the prediction is going to take them.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Eduardo Beltre being a top 10 overall prospect for fantasy. I've really been I was already kind of high on him entering the offseason, but when I was going through my team by team ranking, so you could really, as you could really start digging in a bit more. Data's all stagnant, nothing's changing. And when I was going through the twin system, I'm like, man, I like Beltre even a lot more than I thought I did. So it's a really high upside profile. There's a big time power speed blend. He showed that off. He's already hitting the ball really hard for his age. He's a good premium athlete as well. So like right now, you look at like a plus power speed guy. Hit tool, that's as you can say with a lot of the guys in the DSL and a lot of these toolsy 17 18-year-old prospects, the hit tool is the X factor. Where does that wind up? There's some concerns there. He had a 24% K rate in the DSL, which isn't terrible in general, but that's a little bit higher than you'd like to see from a top guy in the DSL. But he did walk at a good clip. He had 11 home runs, 10 steals in just 43 games, so he's kind of showcasing all the skills there. And I think he's to come stateside, come to the complex level this year, and I think you could really see him shoot up prospect rankings. I mean, I already have him back into my top 100. I think he's like 85 or so in my rankings. I think you could really see him shoot up even further, especially if he, if he can keep the hit tool, improving it, get the contact rates up a little bit, keep that K rate in check as he gets, a little bit, tougher competition this year. Yeah, and he hits for decent enough average while still showing that big power speed blend. And I think you'll see his stock really take off. So yeah, I'll say Eduardo Beltre, top 10 overall prospect.
I mean, this is huge. I would say, and be curious on any of the, you can do it on the podcast or any of the individual videos I put out on the In This League YouTube. Anyone could say like who was the biggest one. I would have to probably say this is the biggest of the bold predictions here, especially because we had like Connor Griffin going number 1 overall. I think that's like a big move. Eduardo Beltre definitely is, but also I think part of it is the Dominican Winter League push to this high and to getting that high is the tricky thing. I am gun shy because of Yasser Mercedes. I fell hard.
No, I hear you, dude. I do.
Hard on Yasser Mercedes in 2021. 30 stolen bases he had in 41 games in the Dominican Summer League. Dude hit 355. He had 4 homers. I mean, he showed off some extra base ability. I mean, I think what was the number? 20 of his hits were extra base. And some of the data looked really good. His speed numbers clocked like ridiculously high, and he just tanked. He stole no bases. Now, last year actually was better. I just want to point out. We're not done, 21 stolen bases, 6 homers, 292. But like, I went really hard. And it's not fair to just do that with a lot of guys. But this is a bigger power hitter. 11 homers, 10 stolen bases than Dominican Winter League. Dominican Summer League, I'm sorry. The worry would be is he's coming over also with those strikeout things. So like Dominican stats carrying over, a strikeout concern that's already there, the team and us seeing that, and maybe like, Jesus Mate got a little bit different. I guess what I'm getting at is we're in a little bit different of a world where it seems like international and Dominican statistic seasons are getting less of an upside push than they've ever done before because we're all worried. Eduardo Quintero with the Dodgers has been a rookie ball. Like that guy could be a top 25 prospect, but people are holding back. Is there like how did you get to the determination? Like, what do you see this season looking like for him to be a top 10? It's got to be a complete repeat. I guess it's just like a little bit more dig in here. Cause like, are you worried at all about from Yasser Mercedes to any of the Dominican translated high valued players working? And what does the stat line look like where he's a top 10 guy for you?
Yeah, I'll start by saying yes. I definitely am worried. I'm worried about every single one of these Dominican guys, to be honest with you. Even Jesus Mate, who's I know his data is off the charts, and he feels like one of these safer ones, if that's even possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the same concern about every single DSL breakout because I was super in on Yasser Mercedes as well. And what was the one? It was Brewers. I'm blanking on the name like a few years ago.
I was going to say Luis Pena here, but
no, before him
this year.
I'm totally blanking on the name, but there's
Yofri Rodriguez.
It might have been.
There's
been a handful.
Brewers push out a lot of them. There's a lot of
yeah.
good. Oh, one that comes to my mind was Christian Betancourt with Bryant Betancourt with the Rockies, but he was a little bit older. He had this like monster Dominican Summer League production, but he was different because he was like 19 or 20 at that level.
Yeah, I remember he had a ton of home runs that year, but that definitely is a concern. Like I said, 23.8% K rate. That's higher than usually you like to see from the top DSL guys. So yeah, that's definitely the X factor here. But I think you could see him go 2020, or 20 plus this year, and if he can make those adjustments and take that step forward, I mean, the 2020, I think he could stay like a top 100 type of guy with that. Just if he could take that step forward, produce like a, even like a 73 to 75% contact rate. That's not be anything super high, just solid enough contact skills. You can get that K rate under 20%, keep the walk rate above 10%, kind of something in that range. I think you could see, a massive rise up rankings and top 10. Yes, that's very bold, but I wanted to go a little bit bolder this year.
Hey, I want it to be known. I love it, and I'm not picking at it at all because I think that's great. This is what this is for, and I think the low level you could easily and probably pay off here. You could say top 100, and Eduardo Beltre be a top 100 guy. It makes sense. The bold side is him translating over, lowering the strikeout rate, the power speed go. If he is what is he? 18-year-old. If he's an 18-year-old going 2020 between rookie ball and high A, he probably does finish the year as like even a top 25 guy. So this is very, very good. This is the truest sense of a bold prediction on the hitting side. Let's go to pitching. Your 2025 bold prediction for a starting pitcher, the name, and how do we get there?
I'm going Ryan Sloan from the Seattle Mariners, top 5 pitching prospect at the end of the season. I think the Mariners are due to have a really good pitching prospect. I mean, they're very hitter heavy at the top of their prospect rankings, and Emerson and Fermello and Lazaro Montes and all of them. So I think they're due to have a name jump up there, a pitching name jump up. And I'll go with Ryan Sloan, who was drafted this past summer. Really strong frame. Like, he's got the frame that you look for. I mean, he's only 18 years old. 6'4", like 220, 225. It's very strong frame throughout. Great arm speed. 3 pitch mix, fastball, slider, changeup. Shows a great feel for his changeup already. And usually, these 18-year-old kids, they usually can just dominate. With the big fastball, with that premium velocity. So he was mid 90s, touching 98 in high school. Usually you can get by with that, and then he had the really good slider as well. Usually they don't need to go to the changeup too often because they're just dominating with those 2 pitches. But the fact that he already, he has those 2 dominant pitches, fastball, slider, and the changeup is really good as well. He's got a great feel for it. So he's got those 3 pitches that he can attack hitters with, that he can miss bats with, all 3 of them. And then they're in 3 different velocity bands too. So and 3 different movement profiles. So it's really tough to kind of lock in on Ryan Sloan. And I think he's going to be, one of the better, strikeout rate arms in the minor leagues this upcoming year. And I think he's have one that's going to, maybe he's like this year's Sakura, where it's a low walk rate too, because he's shown, a decent feel for just commanding his entire arsenal in general. I mean, he's not like a pinpoint guy by any means, but there's really no like massive red flags in terms of like, oh, there's, the strike throwing is not there or the fastball command's not there. He could, obviously refine those, sure, but there's no massive red flags in those areas like you see with a lot of these, younger prep arms. So if he has all the ingredients that I look for in a prediction like this. So I think if Sloan puts it all together this year and his first full year in the minor leagues, you're going to be talking about him kind of where we're talking about like a Travis Sakura these days, as one of the highest, rising pitching prospects of the year. So yeah, top 10 pitching or top 5 pitching prospects, by the end of the year for Ryan Sloan of the Mariners.
I just talked about him on a show and how, getting to see him in camp, and he's just a big physical presence and kind of mature, when you're already like, hitting high 90s and commanding that fastball and you're working that changeup and you got 3 pitches, like stuff is going in the right direction. I think Sloan and Caminiti right now, they're they're like the pinnacle of sub 20-year-old pitchers. And I think from a rank basis, it's kind of tough this physical moment, because it's like, where are you as a ranker? No, I'm talking rhetorically to people as a valuation. Where do you value young high school pitching or sub 20 pitching? Are you scared that they're going to have Tommy John? Do you think the sky's the limit because these guys really have the potential? I would say Caminiti thrown in there have the potential to be top 5 SPs. If you believe that and you're devoid of maybe some of the risk, those guys should probably be like top 75 overall prospects. If not, they could be a little bit further down because they are still so young and they've got to move levels and they have to be challenged. But I think if I'm betting on, and whether it's like a rebuild or whatever, and I'm betting on like 2 really young pitching prospects, Caminiti and Sloan, I think are like number 1 and number 2. They're like right there.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And I was, I like both of them. When I started, formulating my, FYPD rankings last year, I was very high on both of them from the get-go, but I was a bit higher on Caminiti. And I'm still very high on both, but I've since kind of flip-flopped a little bit, and I do have Sloan a little bit ahead of my rankings. I have them both in the vicinity of top 100. I've been kind of more gun shy to push them super high.
Yeah, I don't have Sloan as a top 100.
Yeah.
I was kind of beating around the bush. I don't have him as a top 100 right now because of some of that inherent risk. But I think there's a level of why it's deserved is what I was getting at.
Yeah, I think I have them both in like the 120 ish range right now. But guys like Sakura, I could definitely see both Sloan and Caminiti being top 50 overall. Top 5 to 10 pitching prospects by the end of the season for sure.
Bold predictions, my friend. Eric Cross, you're off the hot seat. Eric Cross, MILB. Check him out on the Toolshed and everything else going on. My friend, thank you so much for joining and making this Bold Prediction show extra spicy. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.